Okay, since the speakers are here, let's start the webinar. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you joining from different parts of the world. Welcome to NARASI-05 with the title Innovation in Plastic Waste Processing, Challenges for Low-Value Plastics. My name is Chris, moderator for this webinar. And
Pembiayaan untuk meningkatkan sirkulasi plastik, khususnya
plastic circularity, especially in archipelagic countries like Indonesia. So before we start, we also would like to greet Bu Amalia. Ibu Amalia, selamat datang di webinar kita.
Ya,
barangkali Bu Amalia bisa memberikan sambutan dulu untuk dimulainya webinar kali ini. Waktu dan tempat saya serahkan ke Ibu Amalia.
ya, tes. Apakah suara saya kedengaran?
Terdengar.
Halo? Oke, ya.
Terdengar.
Terima kasih. Terima kasih Mas Kris. Mohon maaf saya izin tidak membuka kamera karena kebetulan sedang ada di luar ruangan. Terima kasih Mas Kris dan rekan-rekan semua. Selamat sore rekan-rekan semua. Salam sejahtera untuk kita semua. Yang saya hormati para narasumber dalam hal ini Bapak Rick Furman dari Belanda dan Ibu Anna Celigi dari Non-Trash Triangle Inisiatif ya. Mohon maaf jika ada penyebutan salah dari saya. Serta seluruh peserta webinar yang bergabung dari berbagai wilayah di Indonesia. Atas nama Bintari, kami menyampaikan terima kasih atas kehadiran Bapak Ibu semua dan rekan-rekan semua dalam narasi webinar kelima. Ya, narasi webinar ini sebenarnya rangkaian kami Bintari untuk selalu memberikan ruang terbuka untuk baik kami di internal maupun di luar Bintari untuk berbagi ilmu pengetahuan, pengalaman terkait dengan pengelolaan sampah. Hari ini kita menyelenggarakan webinar yang kelima, jadi sudah banyak webinar dan harapannya nanti akan banyak lagi webinar yang bisa kami selenggarakan. Terima kasih terhadap kepada Happy Green Initiative juga yang sudah berkolaborasi, kemudian Non-Trash Triangle Initiative berkolaborasi terwujudnya webinar kelima ini. Hari ini kita akan membahas satu tantangan besar dalam pengelolaan sampah plastik, yakni plastik bernilai rendah. Plastik jenis ini ya mungkin memiliki nilai ekonomi yang kecil gitu ya, tetapi dampak merusaknya itu sangat besar terhadap lingkungan. Di beberapa wilayah di Indonesia, terutama di pulau-pulau kecil, di kawasan pesisir, di laut, ataupun di sungai, plastik inilah yang paling sering kita temui dan berakhirnya ke laut, dan ini menjadi bagian dari krisis sampah yang saat ini kita hadapi bersama. Jadi tidak hanya Indonesia, mungkin secara global krisis sampah ini kita hadapi bersama. Karena itu tantangan ini bukan hanya bagaimana mengelola sampah, tetapi bagaimana mengubah cara pandang kita melihat melihat nilai bagaimana limbah yang selama ini dianggap tidak bernilai dapat kemudian didorong menjadi bagian dari solusi melalui mungkin saja nanti ada inovasi, teknologi, ataupun pendekatan-pendekatan pembiayaan yang lebih kreatif. Ya, karena plastik tidak hal yang mustahil untuk kemudian kita hindari, tetapi bagaimana kemudian solusi agar plastik ini, penggunaan plastik ini lebih sustain atau memberikan memperkecil dampak yang rusak tadi. Kami sangat bahagia, senang pada kesempatan ini dapat belajar dari Bapak dan juga nanti Ibu Ana untuk bisa berbagi pengalaman bagaimana sih pengalaman mengenai inovasi pendanaan ataupun inovasi-inovasi lain dalam kaitannya untuk pengelolaan sampah di wilayah pesisir, pulau-pulau kecil di Indonesia ataupun di wilayah yang secara jangkauan layanan itu masih terbatas. Melalui narasi webinar ini, Bintari berharap nanti diskusi ini menjadi ruang belajar bersama yang saya sampaikan di awal tadi, mempertemukan pengalaman-pengalaman global dari Pak Rik dan Ibu Ana ini, kemudian bagaimana praktek-praktek lokal ini juga, dan kemudian mendorong kolaborasi, harapannya tidak hanya wacana di dalam webinar ini, tetapi menjadi satu kolaborasi dan gagasan yang baru untuk masa depan pengolahan sampah yang berkelanjutan. Akhir kata, saya ucapkan selamat webinar untuk teman-teman semua. Pak Rik dan Bu Ana, silakan berbagi pengalaman-pengalamannya. Saya akhiri sambutan singkat saya ini. Selamat berdiskusi dan salam keberlanjutan. Terima kasih. Saya kembalikan ke Mas Kris.
Terima kasih.
Baik, terima kasih Ibu Amalia ya selaku Direktur Bintari sudah memberikan sambutannya. Jadi Bapak Ibu sekali lagi forum ini adalah forum untuk mempertemukan ya antara inisiatif-inisiatif yang sudah dilakukan di beberapa tempat di dunia dengan Bapak Ibu semua yang ada di sini. Baik, saya yakin Bapak Ibu sudah tidak sabar untuk memulai presentasi. Tetapi kita ada agenda dulu dari panitia, yaitu untuk melakukan sesi foto bersama. Jadi Bapak Ibu diharapkan dapat mengaktifkan kamera, karena kita akan mengambil foto bersama terlebih dahulu. Sudah ada 92 partisipan pada siang hari ini. Semoga semuanya bisa open cam ya. Kita mau adakan foto bersama dulu. Ya. So, bagaimana panitia? Siap untuk mengambil foto? Kalau ada gaya-gaya tertentu nanti silahkan saya dibisiki ya. Oke, semuanya lihat ke kamera. Oh iya, selamat sore Pak. Kita foto dulu. Silahkan lihat kamera halaman pertama. Satu, dua, tiga. Baik, halaman kedua. Pertahankan senyum. Satu, dua, tiga. Ya, untuk halaman ketiga. Satu, dua, tiga. Sekali lagi terakhir halaman keempat. Kita foto dulu. Satu, dua, tiga. Ya. Baik Bapak Ibu, saya kira cukup ya panitia ya. Sudah mengambil fotonya masing-masing. Sekarang kita akan memasuki sesi paparan yang pertama. Jadi kita memiliki Pak Rik Forman dari Triple Benefit. Saya akan membacakan sedikit kurikulum vitae beliau. Jadi Rik Forman adalah inisiator dari Triple Benefit. Kemudian sejak tahun 1996 beliau memang sudah berkecimpung ya di dunia pengolahan sampah plastik ini, kecuali terutama di bidang desain. Jadi pada sesi yang pertama ini kita akan dengar sama-sama presentasi Pak Rik dengan judul Long Lasting Waste Recycling Product. Ya, so we would like to have you in stage, Rik Forman. Are you ready? Our team will help you to do screen sharing. Yeah. So once the screen is shared, okay, yeah, you can start your presentation for 30 minutes. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay, time is yours.
I'm very sorry I have to do this in English, but I'm happy that I can show you some things about the projects that we could do and how we do it in other places. What we are focusing on is doing something with the big plastic problem in the world. And what you see in the West is that you have centralized plastic recycling in big factories. This requires huge investment and also a lot of transportation. So we bring the material to the factory. But in some areas in the world, it's better to bring the factory to the material. For example, when you live on an island, and that is something I want to tell about today. And this picture I made a few years ago already again, because in this area here on in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic, they just put all the plastics on a big pile, and after that they sell the plot again, and then they start living on it. So they only dump the plastics and they do nothing with it. And this is not the way how it should be, and it's only getting worse and worse in the world. So it is really an urgent problem, and I think, and I heard from Kees that it's also in your region, there are quite some reasons to look further into this topic. Yeah, we try to do things. We are based in the Netherlands, so there are the most of the projects in the area. But yeah, during the years, sometimes we have projects everywhere and other places where we start very small sometimes, and sometimes a little bit bigger, and sometimes we only discuss very interesting cases. But this is how we are developing on a mondial level. First, I'll tell something about the project, and then about what you can imagine with how you could make things, and first what you could make, and then how you could make it. Like I say, there's a big problem everywhere, in many places in the world, like this here, and it also clogs the waterways, which incurs big costs also by removing all these plastics and stuff. So it is really a big problem. And when it comes into the oceans, or maybe before that, it also harms the wildlife in a terrible way. It can toxify even. We don't know what microplastics do actually. We still don't know exactly how dangerous it is for the environment and for nature. And animals can easily get killed by plastics, and it happens a lot. But also, if you would recycle plastics, if you would be able to do so, then you would also save a lot of carbon dioxide emissions by 2.5 or 3 more or less kilogram CO2 equivalent per kilo of plastics that you recycle. So it is really interesting to ask yourself the question, how can we do that then, and what is possible? First, before we dive into that, I want to tell you that actually you could roughly say that for the big bulk plastics, there are a few categories, and you should know that plastics are not all the same. You have really different types of plastics, like PET bottles. PET bottles are a totally different material than other plastics. So what many people do not know is that plastics are by far not always the same material. And this is something that makes the problem really complicated. Looking at this category, the PET bottles, you see on a mondial level that more and more there are becoming hotspots for recycling of PET bottles into the bottles again. For several reasons. It is also very difficult to recycle this material on a small scale. But also the beverage industry, they want to show you that they are not bad for nature. So they really have an issue and a responsibility to the world to get these bottles back again. And PET typically is always a bottle, roughly. There are also many other applications, but if you can get the bottles recycled, that's quite a big deal. And there are also in Indonesia, there are very big plants, and because of that, the material becomes to get a certain value, let's say 50 cents per kg or something. So there is a business case under development that's developing better and better in the world, that PET bottles are collected and brought to these factories. Then there's another category that is typically called rigids, which are easy to shred. These materials are relatively thick-walled, This kind of plastics are in many situations also recycled. You could easily clean it pretty well. You could easily shred it. You could even sort it on color, and then you can make products from it. But there's also a very big category that is actually has no destination. That's the flexibles, the film, the foil, that has the lowest value in the market. That's because it's very diverse. There's different material types. It can be polystyrene, it can be polypropylene, it can be polyethylene, it can be multi-layered. So even one foil can have different types of polymer. And it has a very high level of contamination. And it's this kind of plastics that is most challenging to have it converted. And if you can convert this into useful products, you could of course also use category B materials if you have it and you don't want to send it away. So that's a challenge that we focus on. How can we use those low value plastics and make useful products from it in the cheapest possible way? That's also a challenge because we want to do it small scale and as cheap as possible. And the principle is that you have some kind of machine here at the left, and you have some kind of shape from mold where you put in the material, and when you have the mold filled, you replace it and put the secondary mold onto the machine and fill the second product into that mold. And you keep on going this process. That's the basic principle of flow molding, what I'm going to tell you more about in this session. The machine is called an extruder. Maybe someone has heard about that in your background, in your situation. So with that extruder, we fill shapes, and you could think of this kind of shapes, can be posts and beams, lumber. You could also fill blocks. And these kind of shapes, they are, you could call it construction elements, because they can be used for assembling different kinds of things. And this is one of the latest factories we built in India, and they made this kind of products, pavers, room dividers. Sorry. And you can compose products from it, like waste bins, like beds, like tables, school tables, chairs, fences, this kind of things. And the good thing is that this kind of materials, of course, they do not rot. They are very resistant against almost everything. They will pertain in the environment, outside, outdoor, in the sea, like shore solutions. They will persist for a long time in marine applications. Could even go further, build even some kind of houses or shelters from it. These are examples that are coming from our projects. And this way you can even build complete houses from it. Yeah, I've put this slide also there because I think it's also interesting. Sorry for this. To press roof tiles, for example, that's also an option. You should use also a press for that. Add it to your equipment, but it's also an option to do. And that's basically what it would be. But what do you need for it? Of course, you need some kind of factory. You need some kind of machine equipment. And that factory, that should be that is an investment. You should purchase it, and you should have some kind of ownership. Somebody who's really feeling responsible for having it in operation, and you should also have at least one or two operators who could operate the machines. And on a daily basis, you should do it someplace in a roofed area. You need quite a lot of electrical power and a little bit cooling water probably. But that's not everything. You also need, of course, the materials. So if you would set up such a system, you would also need to collect materials and manage that. And maybe you want to pay a little bit money because you also have revenues from the products you make. and pay that for the collection, so that people start to bring the materials when you pay for it. The products you make, I showed you a few examples, but of course the interesting thing is that you could think of, could develop your own products, of course, something that's really suitable for your own local situation. Yeah, and you need of course, yeah, to resell that to you, so you have to find your buyers for it, and you need some promotional things also for that. So you need low volume mixed plastics, including the multi-layers. You can make useful products of it, and you want to do it at the lowest investment, and also preferably at the lowest costs. If possible, make the risks as small as possible. This also is related to the investment. If your investment is low, you can have a lower risk. But it would be nice if you could have additional advantages, because these business cases are always quite critical. It's not easy to have a good business case. When you live on an island, you save a lot of material transportation. So that is also one way to save some costs. But on the other hand, there are also non-financial. I'm sorry, I'm some. Just one second. Sorry for this. So you also want to maximize the non-financial aspects, and there are some advantages you could have in our environmental and economic and social perspective. And I'll come back to that later also. What we can deliver is the machines. Some of them are customized, especially to have those low-cost molds included on the machines. And what typically is what we install is something like start with a certain volume and increase that volume. This is a typical setup that we can install. You could think of smaller setups, bigger setups, but this is a typical setup that's quite suitable. You could think of the machines like this. This is what I'm talking about. A densifier agglomerator is being used for the thin-walled plastics. A shredder is used to have the rigids into micro things. An extruder is needed to fill your molds. That's roughly what you could think of to give you a first idea. Yeah, here are some technical details. I think I can skip this. This is some layout, example layout that you could use. You need some area for extrusion. You need some area for granulating, agglomerating, and some area for your temporary storage of the products that you are making. And here's some pictures also from our project in India. And this is a similar 3D impression of how this could look like in practice with the machine setup. Impact measurements. So what we did a research for TNO to find out, okay, comparable cases. What is the investment and what is the payback period, and what is the impact of those investments? and we made an average. So what we can do, we made some kind of, the average is some kind of benchmark. What is typically the required investment to purchase the machines? And for example, for environmental impact, this horizontal axis is the CO2 savings per kilogram product that you make. On an economics level, you should think of local sectors like the environmental sectors, like for example fishery, who is really profiting if you could prevent plastics to get into the environment, but also the tourist industry and also the municipalities to avoid the clogging of the waterways. Besides that, typical scalability and repeatability of cases has been evaluated in this study, and the social impact, like for example, you could make sanitary shelters, which is also beneficial for social in a social perspective, but also you could educate disadvantaged people and create jobs with this kind of projects. And you see that the black bars are the scores that we had in the case that we recently made for Uganda. So compared to other cases, this is quite a good evaluation. So the social impacts involve, of course, just create jobs, educate people, they get more awareness of it. And it can be that you can educate people to be operator, but also educate youth, younger people, have their awareness more on the big issue that the plastics are creating. What can we offer? We can actually support you in the whole trajectory from very beginning to the very ending. So that means that the preparation of your investment, including some business case developments, but also, of course, the equipment that you need for it, make the molds, and make sure that the machines are ordered, but also delivered, of course, in good shape and on a good place. When they are there, you need to commission the machines, so we can support in setting it up and checking if everything is working properly, ramping it up, and provide you with everything that's needed to get these machines commissioned. And of course, we can support it by trainings on site or remote. And here in the Netherlands, we have developed our own circular plastics lab. So all this equipment we also have here to do some additional testing continuously, to make further improvements, to test your molds before sending, for example, and to make sure that that we can the best support that we can think of if you have any issue or any question. That's what I wanted to show you. Yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know.
Okay, thank you, Rick. That's very interesting presentation, especially the idea to have a decentralized recycling, yeah, for low value plastics. Wonderful. We have some questions already in the chat box, yeah, but now I would like to offer the opportunity to the next speaker first, and then we will have the Q&A and discussion later. So for the second speaker, we have Anna Clerici from NTTI. Before we begin, could you please turn off the screen sharing, Rick? And then I will offer the screen to the next speaker. Yeah.
I'm trying to I first have to unshare it. Sorry.
Yeah, now it works. Don't worry.
Yeah, all right.
So our second speaker is Anna. She is the founder and the local coordinator of NTTI, No Trash Triangle Initiative, based in North Sulawesi, Indonesia. And it's interesting to know about her sharing for this afternoon because she will share about funding opportunities that we can apply for having a good collection system or waste management system in small islands like in North Sulawesi.
Yeah.
Okay, Anna, now the time is
Terima
yours.
kasih.
Yeah, please.
Yes. I share the screen, just a second.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, can you all see?
Yeah, all clear.
Okay.
Good.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. And so I would like to give you a little bit of presentation and also introduction about the No Trash Triangle initiative. We are based in North Sulawesi and okay. And we since 2018 we set up this initiative to protect the coral triangle from plastic pollution. We realized that the impact of plastic waste in the marine environment was really impactful. So we decided to create 4 pillars, and we are still using this 4 pillars to combat this plague. So the first one is, of course, like waste collection and management. The second one is about increasing the education and the awareness in the local communities. The third is about research and innovation. So we are always supporting marine biologists or researchers that are investigating in the fact that the marine plastic pollution pose on the environment. And the fourth one is the corporate corporate responsibility that we encourage in the local stakeholders, especially local stakeholders. So how can they have a more sustainable waste management? Just to give you a little bit of introduction, I'm pretty sure that all the Indonesian already knows, but the Coral Triangle is a very important area for all the world, not just for Indonesia. It is the Amazon of the sea, so have incredible marine life underwater. And but the reality is that, and as you can see, like we are. I don't know if I have to accept or refuse. I accept. Okay, sorry. I don't know, I have someone. Okay, so we are based in North Sulawesi, which is really in the middle of the Coral Triangle. Unfortunately, especially on a remote island here around Manado, there is absolutely no waste collection system implemented by the government or by any other private stakeholder. So the reality is that the waste that still arrive on the island every day, because we have a lot of multiple layer sachet, the food, the monodose, and like a lot of single-use plastic packaging. So every piece of plastic that reach the islands stay on the islands. And the reality is that I think that more than 60% of the plastic is burned, but there is also the worst case scenario, so where people directly dispose of plastic waste directly on the ocean or in the rivers, that then of course bring all the plastic in the ocean. And as a result, of course, you can imagine the people living in on the coastal area, where every day you can wake up and the beach or the coastline mangrove forest are completely filled with plastic waste. And so this, I think it's something that we really need to solve this problem. And the majority of this plastic waste, of course, is like a low valuable plastic waste, and especially for this, whenever in this presentation we are talking more about the waste management. So if you really want to make a responsible waste management, so if you really want to pay good salary you want to be responsible for every piece of plastic that you collect, and not just be the cherry picker where you go on the beach, let's say, and just collect the PET bottle because are the only maybe plastic that can give you a little bit of revenue. But if you are focused on the environment, if you are focused on the marine life, you must collect everything, either the plastic that have a value, and even the plastic that doesn't have a value. And one of the first thing that we want to avoid, of course, is also like to avoid these plastic waste to go to the landfill. We are living in the north tip of Sulawesi. There are there is one landfill, but it's not a sanitary landfill. It's an open dump site with a high risk of plastic waste to go back into the waterway and go back to the ocean. And yeah, so this is like the main challenge that we want to solve. Of course, okay. So we have mainly two problems because we are located in Manado. So the first one is that every time we want to send materials to Java, mainly we are sending to Jakarta and to Surabaya. We need to fulfill a container, a 40-feet container that costs a lot. And of course, whenever you send high valuable plastic material, of course, you can make a revenue, but it's impossible to make revenue with the low plastic, with the low valuable plastic. And then the second problem, economically speaking, that we have is the salaries that we have. So if you compare like the UMP, which is the minimum salary, thank you, I have my, and so the minimum salary in Manado, as you can see, like it's almost the double, for example, of Central Java. So I can imagine that organizations that are doing maybe the same job as we are doing in Central Java, they pay half of the salary and they don't have any logistic expenses because maybe they can just use a truck or pick up and then just send the material to recycling. While for us, every time we send a container, we spend 20 juta. So it's like 20 million of rupiah just for sending the material. Plus, there is the problem of the local logistic, because you can imagine that we have small islands, so we need to go with the smaller boat. We need for some islands we need to rent a boat. For another island we have our own small boat, and then we need to organize the pickup. But we need of course organization, because there can be high tide, low tide, big waves and big wind. So we also need to think about this. And we mainly collect plastic waste. So we are focused on environmental plastic waste. So we have been started the operation with by collecting the waste that is already in the environment. We started at the end of last year to do collection also in remote villages. But these are the data that I would like to give it to you. And this it's just the data that we have for January 2025. But the data is more or less always like that. So we always have, let's say, around 50% of the weight, either if the plastic comes from the island, either if the plastic comes from the rivers. We have more or less the 50% of the weight that is low valuable plastic. So we are talking about film, we are plastic film, we are talking about multi-layer sachet, we are talking about all the orphan piece of plastic which we don't know nothing about, because maybe it's like just a small piece or so on, flip-flops, piece of rope, and like a lot of different product. The majority is, of course, a single-use beverage or packaging, and this is also the challenge that we have with this is that if we send, so what we are doing with low valuable plastic waste is we send it to co-processing. Co-processing is a treatment. So we are sending our low valuable plastic waste to a cement factory. The cement factory have this plant, so they transform plastic waste, the low valuable and non-recyclable plastic waste, they transform it into an alternative fuel material. So basically they burn this plastic waste together with coal. And I know that can sound really bad, because you can say, you are burning the waste, but it's proven that there is a CO2 emission reduction for the cement plant. And this is the last thing that we can do, which is still considered a good thing for waste management. Sorry, I forgot the name. We are not disposing. No, whatever, I forgot. Anyway. So since 2022, we are supported by Clean Hub, which is a German company for plastic credit. And to be honest, despite there are a lot of people that are a little bit skeptic about plastic credits, this is what it's giving us the opportunity to keep going. Not just the plastic credit itself, we have established a private sector donation system. So to all the tourist resorts that are on the islands around Manado, we set up this partnership. So it's very easy to understand. We ask a monthly fee to the resort, so a monthly donation. With this donation, what we provide to the diving resort staff, we provide the staff training, and we provide waste collection, because as I said before, they do not have any kind of waste collection from the government or from other people. The only exception is the Bunaken Marine Park, because it's a marine park. But so the government offer a collection, but unfortunately, sometimes it's not really effective. So just to give you an example. We received today and yesterday and the day before a total of almost 7 tons of waste from Bunaken Beach, and I'm pretty sure there will be full with low valuable plastic waste, and this is what we also would like to avoid. I was telling before, sorry, I didn't remember, I put this slide after, but is that in the landfill, a part of the environmental problem is also like a social problem. So I'm really happy that since the beginning of our operation, we could manage to reduce the input of plastic waste, low valuable plastic waste, from around 48 or 50% up to 2 or 3%, 4%, it depends, but this is the rate. So we really decrease incredible the amount of plastic waste that we collect and bring it there. Just to give you a little bit of numbers, 2025, we have collected more than 100 tons of plastic waste from river. And from the beach, I think we are around like 60 tons. So a total of 160 tons that we have successfully removed or prevented to go in the ocean. So removed from or prevented to go there. And just a small portion ended up in the landfill. If we want to talk about, so this is, Okay, this is the source of support that we have established. These are the 2025, so it's 1 year. And as you can see, private sector, the local tourist resorts, and plastic credits, it's the main part of our support. Try to look at the sale of waste. It's like 3.4%. So it means that even if we have sold all the waste, this is like the 3.4% represent the income that we got from the sale of plastic waste, and this 3.4 just could just cover the 5.7% of the expenses that we have. So if, wait, there was a graph, I don't remember where I put it. I'm sorry. No, I don't have it. Okay, all good. Wait, just a second. I'm sorry. No, was upstairs. I'm really sorry, guys. So I wanted to go back a little bit here because we are talking now about the money. And if you can see the 46% of all our expenses is just for the collection staff. So we are not talking about the 3 people that are working in the office and that make all the logistic and all, the organization, our educator. And so we are not talking about these salaries, but this is just the collection and the sorting stuff. So these 46%, how could we cover with that 3.4 and 5.7% with the sale of the waste? And what is about like the plastic credit is that of course we have been audited, and we are continuously audited by the plastic credit provider. What does it mean is that every single piece of plastic that enter our sorting station needs to be weighted, so we know how many kilos or tons of plastic waste enter in our sorting station. We do have an app that take a picture with the GPS coordinate. After that, we sort every piece of plastic in different kind, in different materials, and then we take another picture and we calculate how many plastic is, for example, PET or HDPE, PP, and so on. And then we send when we send the material to the recycling company or to the co-processing company, we receive a kind of certification. Clean Hub, which is this plastic credit provider, is helping us just for the non-recyclable plastic waste. So all the material that we are sending to co-processing, at the end of this trip, let's say, so we collect, we weigh, we sort, we wait again, we put on a container, we send to the co-processing. When the co-processor gives the confirmation to Clean Hub that is real, that we have sent, for example, 20 tons of non-recyclable plastic waste, just at that point, we receive, let's say, a reimbursement of the expenses. So in the 15% that was here, so the 15 of total expense that we spent it in logistic, it's not included the container paid by Clean Hub for this material. And that's why I say, like, for me, if there was no the plastic credit, or if we could not establish donations from the local stakeholders and the private sector, also because we offer programs for education and so on. So there are like companies that help us in keep going with all the initiatives that we do. Without this support, it will be completely impossible to keep going. And another good things about all this traceability system that we have in place is that it's a tool for us. Also, when we go to private sector, when we reach a company or someone else, we can say, listen, we have this app, we have a traceable and transparent system where you can really see what we are doing, where you can really see the impact that we are having. And because we are part of this, of course, like all our staff have a contract, all our staff have the health insurance, the material, the safety material. Safety material, sorry. And that's it. So this is what is the, let's say, the benefit to have a reimbursement from plastic credit provider. My thinking is that we are in a transition phase. I think that the plastic production has increased too many in the last decades, and we as a human, we are not ready for that. So I really believe this is just a transaction, but what I envision for the future is that no longer the private sector needs to be responsible and needs to feel responsible for that, but there should be an extended producer responsibility and for the plastic packaging producer, together with, of course, like an increase of awareness for the reduction of plastic waste. And if you have any question, I'm here. Sorry for my jumping presentation.
Okay, thank you, Anna. Let's give an applause for our two speakers for today. That's an insightful presentation, actually, because you highlight the importance of logistic and transportation costs in island and coastal communities. We also can get information about 20 million rupiah for sending recyclables.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Before we begin the Q&A discussion with the forum, I would like to invite Pak Inung, Muhammad Nur Hadi. Apakah Pak Inung sudah ada di Zoom ini? Ya, jadi Pak Inung adalah Research, Innovation, and Business Development Manager dari Yayasan Bintari. Dan sekarang Pak Inung akan memberikan review dulu, tanggapan terhadap dua presentasi ini yang menghubungkan antara inovasi teknologi dan peluang pendanaan dari pengelolaan sampah plastik. Silakan Pak Inung, bisa pakai bahasa Inggris, bisa pakai bahasa Indonesia.
Okay, thank you, Chris, for the opportunity. I saw there are many questions already in the chat, so I will make it short. Yeah. First, it is a very impressive presentation, both from Rick and from Anna. I think for the technology that introduced by Rick, maybe not really new for Indonesia, because I found in several places the simple version one is available, and so that I experienced with how the process is going, and then when I experienced that, I found that it produced a gas which is very smelly. So my question is whether your machine is also producing such kind of gas, and do you think it is dangerous, and how you deal with that? So maybe this is a key issue in Indonesian case. And then the second is about the product. I saw that you already established some factory in India and Uganda. So I believe you already have a marketable product. So how is the market respond to that product? Whether it can replace the normal product, for example. So that's some key question for Rick. And then for Anna, thanks Anna. Finally we meet again. For sure, I think many Indonesian NGO working in a small island, just like you. So maybe some of them interested as well to apply to plastic credit. Do you think it is worth it to apply to plastic credit? And what should be the minimum volume or minimum weight to make it feasible to apply plastic credit? And then the last is, what is your opinion about the technology that presented by Rick? I think that's all. Yeah, maybe we can start, and then later on, I see already a lot of questions in the chat, so I don't want to bother too much. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Inung, for the review. So we will start the Q&A session, starting from the review or questions from Pak Inung. So addressed to Rick, yeah. So can the product can be sold as normal product, or how is it within in developing countries?
Yes, thank you for your question. Well, I think the most interesting type of products is furniture. Furniture, particularly at coastal areas on the beach or that kind of situations, but which are very corrosive or harmful to wood. So where you can replace wood, it is interesting, particularly for furniture, because it has a little bit more value. But on the meantime, I have to say that every market, every country is totally different. That's what I've seen. For example, St. Lucia is a very touristic area. Tourists can pay much more money, but you should look very carefully what exactly would the tourist pay for in this situation. Together with Case, we looked into the replacement of hardwood, for example, and Case calculated that the hardwood is for free in Saparua. Yeah, if the hardwood is for free, it's difficult to compete with it if labor is also very low. Labor costs are also very low. So what is the best product to sell is really the question for the local market, what adds the most value to it? And that's, in general, I would say furniture. In Melalui, for example, we are developing a factory, but there, for example, bricks can be interesting to build a house from, but in Melalui, they can just, because the soil is made of clay, you just cut the bricks out of the soil to dry it and to use it as a brick. You cannot compete with that in that market because they have already bricks lying in the soil, in the soil. So, but in other areas, maybe Saparua, it can be interesting to build a house from bricks and make bricks from the plastics. So you have to look at the local conditions. What is the best business case for you?
Okay, thank you.
I think I still have one issue, Chris, related to the gas released from the heat tank process.
The gas is released by the process.
Yes, yeah.
There is no harmful gas released by the process, and I'll explain to you why it is. These plastics, they are manufactured when they are virgin, and then they are heated in exactly the same way as you heat it when you do the recycling. And after the recycling, you can do it again and again and again. The material does not change during recycling, so you can smell a little bit, but what you smell is also when you process the virgin materials. And there's no, there's actually no evidence, no signal even that the entire plastics industry would be dangerous for processing. So the entire industry is already working with those situations. However, one note on that is that it depends, of course, what the material was containing. If you are recycling containers that have been containing pesticides, for example, so there are residues of the product that have been inside of the plastics, then of course there is a risk of contamination of toxic thing. But you should know what you are doing. So you should not recycle plastics that are contaminated in that sense. 99% of all plastics have been used for packaging of food, so they did not contain any toxic thing at all. And there's one other thing, that's the smell. There are often food residues on the plastics. That is something that you will often have, of course, and they start to rot pretty quickly, of course. So a lot of waste plastics are smelly, and that smell that is also evaporating during the process. So that can be smelly, but it's not harmful, not dangerous or toxic. Is that answer your question?
Yeah, it's clear. So we learned from you that the contamination itself, that it should be avoided. So without contamination, the process is working in every industry, and it's okay, yeah, for the dangerousness. Okay, we will
chemical
move to Anna.
dangerous.
Yeah. Okay, we will move to Anna. Yeah, there's a question from Pak Inung about the feasibility of the plastic credit. What is the minimum volume or weight to make it feasible?
Okay.
And also, what is your opinion?
Yes. So I can just talk about the experience that we have with Clean Hub, for example. So it's unfortunately the only problem that we have is that contracts and agreements are made year by year. So there is not the possibility to plan. So, for example, the first year when we start the project, we have an incredible amount of volume of plastic waste because probably they had a target. So they had more investments from the company. So a lot of different companies pay cleanup to find someone that collect a lot of plastic waste. And the year later was the opposite. So they say, we have no people that are paying us. So we needed to reduce. And this, of course, from an operational point of view is very bad because when you start to collect and you start to have let's say 10 people working and going around and collect, and then you don't have anymore the support, what do? You stop and you fire them? No. So I see and I want to bring NTTI to always collect more and more and more, like steady but always growing. So just for answer the question to Pa Inong, there is not a target. If you, for example, if you are a small initiative and maybe you can just collect 10 tons per year, example, but you are creating a great impact and a great story because I don't know, you create a household collection with a female, or there is a very remote village and you can create with, I don't know, if you can make really an impact, you might find someone that wants to support your program. But of course you need to be ready, because when someone wants to offer you plastic credit, you need to have already everything in a good way. So your staff already needs to have a contract, or maybe if he doesn't have, then there must be the willingness of hire everybody and so on. And yeah, that's it. So it's not like for the certification, because we were also thinking to get certification for the ocean-bound plastic waste or so on, but then for now, for us it's too expensive. So I have no idea with other plastic credit providers how can be. So this is just my experience. And this is for answering the first question. For answering the second one, which is what I think of creating furniture or other things out of low valuable plastic. I don't have an answer. I mean, I have a lot of questions. And, no, the only my only concern will be like if there are like studies about, for example, the microplastic that can a product like that can release. So I am Rika. I know nothing about the technicality about the recycling. What I feel that if you, or I mean, maybe I'm scared that, for example, if we start to collect this plastic waste, then we need that are completely different material, and then we wash it because we learned that contamination is the thing that we want to avoid. So we need to have a washing system, and then probably a shredding system, and then you melt it, and then you create something. if, for example, there was a little bit of piece of PET, or if there was a little bit of piece of something else that doesn't melt completely, and it doesn't, there is not the risk to create a crack, a bubble or something. And this, for example, maybe we create a bench to put in front of the sea, and with the sun, with the you know, the erosion, the wind, and so on, would this material be strong as a virgin plastic piece or not?
For your question, shall I answer your question now? Yeah.
Yeah.
The question is if the material is as strong as virgin plastics.
Okay.
That's your question, eh? The
Yes.
answer is simple. No, it is not. Because we are looking at the lowest value plastic, eh? We are talking about the low value recycled plastics. We make different kinds of products. Different kinds of products than where it originated from. We will not make foil again from it, not buckets or other shapes. We make thick-walled furniture, for example, from it. Just to compensate also for all the contaminations. It can be indeed PET particles, but it can also be sand or any other contamination, some piece of metal inside. It is all accounted for. It is a blend of polymers. At least we have PP and different types
PE.
of PE, yeah, LDPE, HDPE, and so on.
Yeah.
Polystyrene for some level. Indeed, also some PET. It means that it cannot be as strong as virgin material because for chemistry reasons they don't even mix very
Yes.
well on a
Yes.
molecular level. Even not the polyolefins, because PET has even a different melting temperature, so that makes it even more difficult.
Yeah.
No, it's not as strong, but it is for that reason it's thicker. You make it that way that it's at least suitable for the application that you use it for.
Yeah. Thank you. I really also think that what you have said before, like that every geographic and every place have its own need and particularity. So I always say the same thing about islands. For example, our islands are pretty close to the mainland, so it's not far away. But if I think about the Banda Islands or other islands in Indonesia, of course, they could never survive to make a project like, for example, what we do. We just put, plastic in bags, not even press it and bring it to the mainland, but we can. Because maybe it's just a couple of miles. So yeah, also thinking about, for example, your machinery, probably there are areas where it really makes sense because from an economical and also environmental point of view makes sense. And yeah, I agree that each place needs to be analyzed. Yes. I just have another question.
If you can avoid transportation, then you save costs, and that makes the business case stronger.
Yes.
Yes. So if it's remote, in a remote island, for example, then people start to burn it, but that's really bad for the environment. That is also very toxic.
Yeah.
Not only for the people around it, but also for the environment in general, but also the people who are doing it. Incineration is toxic.
Yes, absolutely.
Open incineration, yeah.
Yeah, and especially in Indonesia is something that happen in every neighborhood. So especially on the islands, I mean, it's normal that at 5 p.m. the Ibu go out and
everybody smells it everywhere. Yeah.
And okay. And do you use? I mean, when do you suggest also to use some optical machine that help, like, in recognize or avoid some certain kind of plastic, or no?
No.
Okay.
No, because we want to do it as cheap as possible. Of course, everything is possible. Also, washing, you can make complete washing lines, everything.
Yeah.
We do some pre-washing manually, a little bit pre-washing manually, and also pre-selection. So it's the thing like, for example, car tire, you throw it out. It's obvious, and because the volume is not too big, you don't have to do this automated way. After shredding, which is very usual in the Western world, to have separation equipment to take out every piece which is a different type of polymer. We do not do that. We do a pre-sorting, pre-washing, after shredding, process it directly into the machine without further washing, without further separation, because it all costs a lot of money. Washing also creates microplastics. So it costs money, it costs labor, it costs machines, it costs everything. And we make the equipment so that it can eat everything you put in. That's basically the message.
Yeah, and I saw in your presentation, and then I leave space to everybody. I saw in your presentation that the feeder, that your machinery needs a quantity in between 50 and 100 kilos per day, isn't it?
Hour. So, no, that's per hour. 50 to 100 kg per hour.
Okay, sorry. So it's even worse than what I thought.
No, it doesn't matter. We can also choose for that, but then you have different equipment. I mean, this is the order of magnitude, which is typically, suitable situation.
Because, because, for example, if I think about the village where we started to do household collection, it's 1,000 people living there. So we estimated more or less 20 tons of plastic waste, especially low valuable, per year. So, of course, if you are thinking about 50 or 100 kilos per hour, so it will be like a little bit too much. So maybe you need to use the machine once per week or something like that. So
can be done, but you can also downsize the machine. This is the typical, let's say, average. If say, we use we need half of the capacity, then we can also downsize the specifications of the machine and go to equipment for 20 kg per hour or so. That's also possible.
Okay.
And then you save also a little bit on the investment. But if you go from 100 to 50, sorry, I don't know, somebody is...
It's okay.
If you go from 100 to 50, it doesn't mean that the investment will be half of it. It will be less, but not half of it, because the equipment has some kind of basic setup, but it will be cheaper then. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rick.
Thank you too. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a technical discussion about the machine, and I love the way that Rick explaining. So we can reduce the capacity of the machine, make it smaller, and make it feasible to other smaller capacity. Okay, now let's see the chat box. We have questions starting from Rintati. Yeah, addressed to Rick Forman. How do you define a good business case? Yeah, since other ways of processing waste are also not profitable. And then you may answer the next question from Marlo. How is the waste being picked up? Do you use inorganic waste stream or also the P3 waste or the dangerous hazardous waste?
Okay, shall I start with the question from Rintati? I want to thank Rintati very much, because I think this is a very important remark what is said here. But, I made a remark in the beginning of my presentation that people who look at the business case and they want to see that all the costs are covered. But Rintati is totally right. You need to collect, and it's not fair to cover all the collection costs and everything by just purchasing your furniture or whatever you are making. You always have other processing waste is also not profitable. So actually, you should account for that. In the ideal way, in an ideal situation, the collection is already paid for and the material is delivered for free to the factory. That would, of course, be better for a good business case. That is. I cannot say much more about that. That is totally right. you cannot do everything for free by selling these products. Is that sufficient for the answer to the Tati?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, thank you. Next one from Marlou. How is the waste being picked up? You use inorganic waste streams or also B3. If I understand correctly from you, Cristanto, is that B3 is hazardous waste, eh? Maybe
Hazardous waste,
electronics or yeah. Well, the best way, the best method that can work is that you pay a little bit for the plastics that are being delivered to the factory, and you only pay if it meets your criteria. So you have some kind of quality standard, and the quality standard means do not include electronics, do not include car tires or some completely or extremely contaminated. So you can, although it is low value contaminated plastics and it is mixed, still you can provide quality requirements. And you only, of course, purchase the materials that are meeting those requirements. In that way, you avoid that people bring inorganic waste streams because you don't purchase it. And same counts for B3 or other waste that is being delivered to the factory. That's the concept that should work in that way. Agree, Malou?
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you very much for your answer. So who will deliver then? Is that the government or who's picking up the waste? That's always, I know it's very different. Like Anna already said, we do not have a waste management system, but who could fill that space? That's just maybe a question for everyone to think about, because I think that is one of the main focus that we need to have.
You're completely right. I think that's a question to everybody. It depends on your local situation, but the mechanism should be if you pay 10 or 15 cents per kg, then there are always people who are interested to do that. That can be scavengers, waste pickers. It can also be disadvantaged people who are helped in that way to have some kind of job. Basically, you create a job in that way. If you pay an amount that is meeting an income for those people who are bringing it. And that should be some system that should develop automatically. And that kind of mechanisms you also see in the situation I'm in Malawi. People start doing it out themselves because it generates their income in that way.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you too.
Then let's continue with Joko.
Exactly.
So
Thank you.
Yeah, and then according to
I jump into question 1 at the bottom of the text. I have been reading it already. How do the plastics strategy fit into efforts to create a circular economy? Well, what we've also been working on a lot is on bioplastics, bio-based and biodegradable plastics. And in the ideal world, all plastics are biodegradable. So if they litter, they will be decomposing anyway. The big problem everywhere in the world, also in the West, in the rich West, is that people always choose for the cheapest solution. And that means that bioplastics are not possible just for a financial reason. People don't buy it. And the consumer will not pay more for his food because of the packaging is more expensive. So bioplastics can, at this moment, in 2050 or so, in 20, 30 years later, the situation is different maybe. But at this moment, bioplastics are only suitable if they generate an attractive business case, which is rare. It can happen. It can happen For example, in very specific agriculture applications, you always buy the same plastics, and after use, you could bury it in the soil and it disappears. That would, of course, be great in remote areas. So I've been involved in quite some banana agriculture situations. Then bioplastics can be interesting, but not for the packaging that is the biggest problem in the world when we're talking about at the moment. Once again, it is a technical solution, but not economically viable. So what we only can do on the short term, let's say the coming 20 years or 30 or 50 years even, is to do the best we can, and that's make useful products out of the trash that is there. It will grow anyway. We cannot. There's no good other solution than the plastics that are there that are being used. So the only thing you can do is make it more circular by recycling it. Two, can we not use biodegradable plastics? Yeah, like I explained, what is possible is bio-based. The plastics that are used, they can also be bio-based, but also for that means that then still they need to be recycled, and still they are more expensive also. It doesn't help anything to the plastic problem if it's bio-based and biodegradable, I said. What about the plastic waste and marine litter coming from other parts of the world? Yeah, it's a world problem. It's not a local problem. If you have marine litter on your island, you could, of course, collect it and use it, but it's not your waste. That is true. Yeah, that's something. There was United Nations have been worked for many years on a global plastics treaty, and that global plastics treaty was pretty much well developed, but not agreed and not finalized. And actually, that initiative has, not completely died, but it's not on a mondial level. We are not well aligned on this topic, unfortunately. Does it answer your question, Joko?
Ya, Pak Joko, apakah sudah terjawab pertanyaannya?
Okay, I continue to Jenica. I hope I
Yes, Jenica, correct.
I pronounced correctly. Would they make the machines in Indonesia to avoid the import tax? Well, of course, it's possible. Sometimes you know already it's a machine. I've got a picture from Kees. He has also a picture from some machine somewhere. If you know a supplier locally, I can help with that. That would be maybe the best solution. But in general, I've done quite some research in how to get the cheapest machines. And it also means that you only need the machines you purchase, they only should do what you want and not more, because if they can do more, you also pay for it. So it should be the simplest and the cheapest. And if you know a place that is cheaper, I'm very interested in that, because that's my expertise, let's say. Locally would be perfect, of course, if possible. I don't know in Indonesia a good supplier at the moment, but you can find, we can look for it. Kelly.
Yeah, and Jenica still has a question to read. Yeah, below, can we get an idea for setup in a small village in Indonesia for the collection system of non-valuable plastics? Still, Jenica is asking in the chat below. Maybe you can also elaborate.
Yeah, I'm confused. Sorry. Can you get an idea of the cost of a small transportable setup for a small village in Indonesia? For a collection system or for soft non-value? Yes, of course, I can give you a cost for that. Kees knows that I've also developed a small portable machine, very small one. And that is one of the cheapest options. I think that would be possible. It all depends on how much do you want to do, what product do you want to make, and what's the input material. For soft non-valuable plastics, you first would need to process it to a raw material before entering it to the processing machine. First need to make it into flakes. So you would basically need two machines. And if you tell me, you can contact me after this meeting, and If you tell me exactly those details, then I can define what would be the costs for that. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And then Kalini, next, about quantifying the improvements of the machine. Or Kalini, if you want to directly speak,
Yeah.
speaking time is yours to ask a question for Rick.
Yes, Kalini, I think I understand your question, because you want some kind of indication of the impact of your, the positive impact that you have with your equipment, eh? There was a slide in the presentation that we have split those impacts into different categories, like environmental impact, economic impact, and social impact. And those three main topics you can split out into further detail. For environmental impact, we use the avoided CO2 equivalent emissions. Avoided CO2 equivalent emissions. This is a big word, but what we mean with that, of course, is that we reduce the emissions of CO2 or equivalent to that. And in general, it is around almost 2.5 CO2 emission that you save when you recycle 1 kilogram plastics. Yeah, so also taking into account that you need energy to process it. Roughly 2 to 2.5 kilogram CO2. That's the direct environmental impact. For economic and social, yeah, it's more a qualitative method. But like I already explained, there are sectors like the touristic, fishery, and governmental sectors. They really have an economic advantage if you have a cleaner environment, because it's better for the fish, it's better for the fishery. For the tourists, it's more attractive to come. If it's really filthy, the tourists won't come anymore. Or that's what you see also, is that people clean up the hotels and all the touristic organizations. They clean up the beaches every morning, which is good, but it has an economic cost. Yeah. Now you can involve local people for getting more wages, getting a job, and getting more aware about this topic. That's roughly, in short, what's the impact of this kind of solutions. Does that answer your question, Kalini?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. Yeah. So before we move to Ana, sebelum kita ke Ana, mungkin dari audiens di sini ada yang mau menanyakan dalam bahasa Indonesia. Dipersilakan juga ya, bisa ketik pertanyaannya dalam bahasa Indonesia atau bisa bicara langsung dengan raise hand. Okay, for the next question, it goes to Ana. So from Kalini, is there open access to the app? So might be it refers to the plastic credits, yeah? Can be trace the system and so on. Okay, Ana.
To be honest, I have no idea. I think no. I think that when we had the app is because we already did the deal. But I will be more than happy to put you in contact with people from Clean Hub, and if you have your project that you want to show to them and see if there can be a collaboration, more than happy to do so. Kalini, did I answer your question?
Sorry, I was not kicked out, but I got out of the meeting, so I totally missed this was my question. I got in just now.
Oh, yeah. So you didn't hear the answer, correct?
Yes, I got in 2 seconds again.
Okay, so no, what I said is that I think that the app is not open source for everybody. I think the app is whenever you have an agreement with the plastic credit provider, because it's their tool to check what you are doing. But I will be more than happy to put you in contact with someone of cleanup, and this is for you and for everybody that wants to maybe try to reach out to them and see if they would like to include your project in Indonesia. Happy to do so. Indonesia, not just in Indonesia. They have projects all around the world. Sorry. Salah bilang.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Ada pertanyaan lain?
Ya, sambil kita menunggu pertanyaan lain, ya, I have a question to you, Anna.
Yes, sure.
So, I'm really happy that you show the sale of recyclable plastics only covers a small amount from your operational cost. So,
Yes.
can you elaborate further, like how concrete is it the plastic credits can finance the financial gap? Like what price is for 1 ton plastics, and or how do you measure the plastic credits to finance the operational?
So the price per ton, it really depends on the place you are. So you need to show and make an Excel file. So how many hours it takes to collect the waste, how much is the collection, like the transportation from here to then, how many volumes, and so on. And so after this collection, like this Excel table, you can arrive at the price per ton. I would like not to disclose here the price that we got in North Sulawesi, but I can absolutely give you an average. So I can tell you what is our actual price, that we don't get this one. So we did the calculation for the river collection, and also, I mean, we didn't do for the islands collection, but it's more than $800 per ton. This is what we are really paying. That's why not even the plastic credit can cover all the price, because we don't get $800 per ton. I wish I could, but not. But let's say that if you are, for example, near to a recycling company or so on, you can get maybe, let's say, from $200 per ton. So it can be like a price of a recyclable material, something like that. Nobody is becoming rich, as I said, but for us that we are far away from the recycling company, it helps. It really helps.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a question from Robert Bear. I think it's addressed to the Rick again. Why not making granulate only and sell it to the bigger companies? Yeah, question for Rick.
Because that's, I think, thank you, Robert, for the question. I think it's a good question. But if you look at low value plastics, we actually make a raw material that is not meeting the standards of the bigger companies. We just process it directly into products, just because if you want to meet their quality requirements, you need to do much bigger investments, and you still need to do the transportation. So if you want to sell it to bigger companies, you would at least make a better quality. Not processing low value waste at all, and processing other plastics in a much more sophisticated way, which is costing all more money. It's all about money.
Thank you.
Ya, baik, Bapak Ibu, apakah masih ada pertanyaan lain untuk kedua pembicara kita pada sore hari ini? Boleh disampaikan dalam bahasa Indonesia, nanti kita akan bantu terjemahkan jika ada. Oh ya, dari Zahran. Silahkan Zahran, bisa disampaikan pertanyaannya.
Baik, Mas. Apakah suara saya masuk? Okay. I think I want to ask to Miss Anna, maybe in your opinion, should the solution to plastic pollution focus more on improving waste management systems or on reducing plastic productions at the source?
Aha, saya belum bisa mendengar Zahran dengan jelas. Boleh diulangi mungkin, Mas Zahran?
Sudah jelas?
Ya.
Okay. So I want to ask to Miss Anna. So in your opinion, should the solution to plastic pollution focus more on improving waste management systems or on reducing plastic productions at the source?
Very easy question. So the goal is reducing the consumption. Reducing the consumption goes together with reducing the production, goes together with the law enforcement, goes together with the good waste management. So I think in the ideal world, I really think that plastic it's a great material. And so I'm not saying that it needs to be completely banned, but the production and the consumption that I see here in Indonesia, it's completely insane. It's completely out of control. So I think that the first step needs to be reducing, refusing, rejecting or whatever. And then, I'm sorry, Rick, but then I consider recycling the plan B. So the plan A should be reducing, and then it comes the plan B, which is important and super important, is like to put this material that is already there back in the in the economy. So this is how we create a circular economy. But if we start to reduce the consumption and then, the recycling just take care of the material that we could not do nothing but produce this material, and then we put it back. So this in the ideal world. So what we are trying to do, what we are doing, I mean, we in our education progress in the school, it's something that we push a lot the kids in reducing the consumption. But we all know that generational change and behavioral change, it takes ages. It takes maybe a decade or 2 decades. So I think that good waste management can help this phase, because we don't have time. If we continue like that, I mean, we will have our seas full of plastic, and we will have a lot of problems. So yeah, this is my view, my opinion.
Really great. All right. Thank you, Anna. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So this is also opinion from Gilbert. Yeah. So it's too hard. I try to translate this to you, Anna and Rick. It is very hard, the plastic problem to be solved, to be managed, because we have a lot of plastic every year and it is increasing. And yeah, let's find out another solution to reduce the plastic, and so on. And then this is a question from Hannah. Or do you want to say it directly, Hannah?
Yeah, Hannah. Sorry.
Hannah, yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
So I would like to ask a simple question. It's either for Anna or for Rick. But I really love the idea of upcycling trash into furniture, because it's a way to really upscale and reduce the amount of plastics that we create. And is it possible to make it much more affordable and accessible for everyone, especially for the government, because I think we can obtain the plastic waste into public facilities. Thank you in advance.
I totally agree. I think if you can have the local government as a launching customer for public furniture or other applications that can be purchased, and they guarantee to purchase, sorry, for your local community, that would be a very good launching customer to set up your company. That would be nice.
Thank you.
And I would like also to answer to Gilbert. And I think that before we briefly, not me, but I mean, the topic came out about the bioplastic or so on. And I really believe, as I said before, we are in a transition moment. So yes, I think that the world, especially if I think about Europe, they are trying to find alternatives to plastic, let's say virgin plastic materials, and they are having a lot of research on biodegradation of plastic. But of course, we don't have a lot of time. So I think that the most powerful and immediate action would be ban of some products. For example, plastic bags. There is a beautiful studies, an impact report about Sungai Watch, and say that the 43% of waste found in the river, the 43%, guys, it's plastic bags. So can you imagine if you can just have a ban of plastic bags where you can just use your arms, your t-shirt if you forget it, or your reusable bag, you can solve you can solve already the 43% of the plastic pollution in the river. So this is just if we really want to stick to numbers, it's it will be, in my opinion, the best thing to do. Of course, you will have the masyarakat that maybe is not really happy because the ibu needs to go to the pasar and beli the ikan, and there is not something, but there will be maybe some months of complaining, and then people will find a way. And yes, so yeah.
Yes, thank you. So I see that there is no question for now, and then the number of participants is decreasing due to the fasting time in Indonesia, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Rick and Anna, for the outstanding insights. Yeah, it's very valuable to us, yeah, facing our waste management, and in fact that we have thousands of islands here, thousands of problems also. And from the committee, can you share the certificate to us? Apakah bisa ditampilkan sertifikatnya? Yeah. So this is kind of appreciation from us to Rick Foreman. Yeah. Let's give an applause for Rick. Thank you for being a speaker for this webinar. And then the next one.
With pleasure.
Yeah. For Anna Clerici, thank you for the valuable insight from the coastal communities, the innovative financing mechanisms. Yeah, so as conclusion for today, the takeaway is it is quite difficult to improve the circularity of plastic. It requires an integrated approach. So we have been talking about innovation in technology, financing mechanisms, but the most important thing is to make a collaboration among communities, governments, and private sectors. And this webinar is held with the hope that the conversation can inspire us for further collaboration. So if you see the chat box, there's a link to the material. You can access the contents of the webinar, and then we can connect you to each other if you would like to connect. Once again, thank you to our speakers for the knowledge and experiences. Dan terima kasih banyak untuk semua partisipan hari ini. Kami selaku dari panitia minta maaf apabila ada hal yang kurang berkenan dalam penyelenggaraannya, dan kita bisa ketemu lagi nanti di webinar narasi berikutnya. Terima kasih.